Hello, welcome to the 12th tutorial in the the Meshcraft series, or my newer Minecraft with Python series, and Grey Ninja the Panda, of course. So, in this episode, in this tutorial video, what we're going to do is improve the building system so that when we build, we can actually build to the side of blocks and things like this, because at the moment, whatever block we have highlighted, which was designed for the mining system, we just build a block on top of it. But what we want to do is kind of detect the trajectory of the mouse and look at which side of the cube are we looking at, and then decide at a perpendicular angle, say from the center of the cube, which face we're supposed to be creating our cube, so that we can build an archway much more easily. Because at the moment, I'd have to like do that and then fill in everything in between, and then like mine away things in between. So let's get started with this. So what we essentially want to do is I'm in the main module at the moment, so I need to go into, we're probably going to use the building module, building system module, and mesh terrain. I think a lot of stuff is happening in mesh terrain. Right, there we go, there's mesh terrain. Okay, there's our blister mining, which raises a question. Should we do blister building at some point? Obviously the answer is yes. I've got a few ideas. I've got like just while I'm finding the code, I'm thinking of like a nice system where we could, I don't know, draw like a 2D thing in like a UI kind of environment, and then that 2D thing could be some kind of like what do you call it? Like a template for some like 3D extrusion, and then we could like blister extrude these massive shapes and things across the landscape. I don't know, something like that. Anyway, right, let's do mining. So what we're looking for is building right down here. So I'm in the input function in the mesh terrain module. And so far, okay, so here's building here. And when I improve the code, if I improve the code later on, we'll refactor this into the building system somehow. At the moment, it's a little bit messy. Right, but not too bad. So what were we saying? If the right mouse is up, so if we've clicked and released the right mouse, and the build tool entity is visible, i.e. we've highlighted something, then we're determining what our build site is via this function. Okay, so this is where the money's at. So this function is going to return, presumably, a vector3 object, which is going to be the cube above the current position of the BTE. And that's why we're passing it into check build, the BTE position, as well as the terrain dictionary to check whether there is already terrain there, in which case we can't build. So in other words, we want to be able to we want to do something different with check build. So let's go into check build. Oh, so that would be part of the building system. So let's open the building system, not my prepared code, building system. There we go. So there's check build. Now, first thing we do in there is adjust the build site, i.e. the highlighted place. Since the build tool entity, the BTE, is offset. And that's because, this will be in the mining system where we first instantiate the BTE. Let's go and sort something out actually, first of all. So let's open the mining system as well. There we go. So at the top of the mining system, a BTE, the build tool entity. Oh, I've never actually commented that. BTE is there. Or should I just write build tool entity, also known as aka BTE. So what we're doing, we are using the built-in, Ursina's built-in cube model, whereas for the rest of the terrain, we actually use, I think it's called, what's it called? Cube object? Let's go back to the mesh terrain. If I go right up to the top of the mesh terrain, this block, so every single basic block on the terrain is a block object. That's the model that we're using, which is something I made probably in Blockbench. So, and it's offset by 0.5 to the built-in cube, unfortunately. I presume Peter Amland, who did the built-in one, knows what he's doing, and the origin is correct. Not mine. Okay, so where am I going? Right, it was the mining system. So let's do the same thing. So now that we're loading exactly the same model, we don't need to do the offset stuff. So like down here in the highlighting, notice that we're offsetting by 0.5, which we don't need to do. So I can delete that. What else is going on? I just look through. There's a BTE minus 0.5 there. Don't need to do that anymore. Are there any more? Yes, there's well, there we're plussing, we were adding two vectors together because of that adjustment. So we don't have to do that anymore. Well done if you just spotted above. There's two 0.5s there. So look at all of this arithmetic we're saving the computer. So we've at least doubled at FPS, I assume, by doing that. Right, okay. So they're sorted out there. I don't think there's any adjustment in the building system, and as soon as I go to the building system, there is an adjustment. There it is on line 9. So in fact, we don't have to do that at all. So I can delete that comment as well. That's much better. Okay, so on line 11 is where we're deciding that we want to build one block above the current block. So that's where we're going to introduce our new code, presumably. I'm just going to have a look for any other issues. A lot of these flaws I think we can take out when we concentrate on what we're doing, because essentially only when we build a block do we have to flaw things. So this will all be flawed later on to optimize the code. What was I just thinking? Oh yes, I just remembered, less right. I forgot to do this in the previous video, but here where we're creating a gap, or this is very similar to the code where we're generating the cave walls, as I call them, when we mine through the terrain and we generate 4 blocks around that position, or a maximum of 4 blocks. Sorry, a maximum of 5, I guess. Then we're creating all of these vector 3 objects, which we don't need to do. We can do this right at the start of the program, just once, and then refer to those here, refer back to them. Yeah, so we can also do that. We should kind of do, that's a nice easy job. We should concentrate. I'll do the perpendicular building, so building relative to the sides of the cube that we're looking at first of all. But I've got one job, haven't I, to finish off. I just want to make sure that I'm not adjusting the BTE anywhere else on the y-axis by 0.5 up or down. That's what I was just talking about in the generate walls. All of this is happening every time we're mining, so we don't have to do that, especially when we're blister mining. That would slow things down. Okay. Oh, what's this? No, that's to do with colors. No, I think we're fine. So, our code is fairly well organized, so we didn't have to go looking all over some spaghetti code to try and adjust all of that. Okay, right. As what usually happens, I'm not exactly copying my prepare code, so I'm kind of having to think live. Right, here we go. So we're in check build, so we're in the building system, and instead of this, let's just write some stuff. That's right, so I know what I'm doing. Okay, we want to decide where to build a new block based on where we're looking. Yes. So, what have we passed into this? What do we have access to? We presumably we need to get hold of the camera. We need the cameras forward. Or in that case, maybe we just need the cameras forward. So we need that vector. Again, with my parameters, I've got a little habit of underscoring before, so I know it's a parameter. So we need the cameras forward. I'll call that cam F. And then there we go, camera forward. And we need the position of our player. We need that. And we need to know, we've got the build site, so that's like the BTE position. So that's good. And then we can, okay, right. I think we've got everything we need to work with. Okay. So let's just write some notes so we know what we're doing. So the cam F, so we know what we're doing. I can't even find the hash, right? Cam F is cameras forward, so where the player is looking. The pos is the subject, i.e. the player's position. That's all good. So first, what we want to do is we want to, it's all about like trajectories looking at, we want to, what we want to do to find out where we're looking, shall I just start running the code while I'm talking through this so we can look at some 3D objects? I was thinking about drawing something on paint. Okay, we haven't destroyed the code at least. Yet. Can I still mine and... I can't be... Oh yes, well I haven't got cam F and pos. Anyway, that doesn't matter. As long as I don't build anything, I won't crash anything. Okay, so when we're looking at a block like this guy, I'll just clear some space. There we go. When we're looking at a block, we don't know whether our mouse cursor is on this side, or this side, or face of the cube. Notice we can't see any of the other faces, but we want to be able to just move our mouse left and suddenly, like ping, we can now build here. And maybe we could have like a ghost cube to kind of ping over in that position. So how do we determine that? Well, there's probably a nice mathematical way. There's also a probably nice built-in way. We could kind of create a collider at the BT's position, and then we could raycast, which you can do in Ursina, raycast from our player's eye position to the BTE's position, and sorry, not to the BTE's position, the BTE's length away from us, but at the position where our mouse is looking, our crosshair is, but in 3D world space. And then, having done that, you can determine whether you're hitting that collider, and you can just ask Ursina to say, well, give me the normal for the surface that you hit. And the normal is just the perpendicular direction away from that face. So all of that's done behind the scenes. We could do that, but we're not going to. We're going to do something that's almost mathematical. We're just going to say, right, well, we already know the distance between those two, between our eye and between that block. So we're going to create our own vector into that 3D position, and then we're going to move our imaginary line backwards a little bit from that position that we're hitting. And if you imagine that now, where the cursor is now, if it comes back a little bit towards us, it will actually be in this area, this next door like cube location. And that's exactly where we want the cube to appear or to be built. If we move the mouse this way, and you imagine coming out just a little bit, then again, the new cube will be here, or the new position. It will be inside this position. So that's what we're going to do. And again, if we go up and move out a little bit, the new position will be above the cube in that instance. So it's all about just creating, not really mathematically, just kind of like bungling together positional vectors and things. That's all we're going to do. But useful stuff, this actually, for doing other things. Right, where were we? We need to be in a building system. So first what we need to do, create some kind of vector from the player's eyes to the highlighted block. Okay, so we'll call that L for line. Line equals, that's going to be the build site. So the build site at the moment is a highlighted block. And just to prove that, we're in check build. There's build site. If we go back into, is it mesh terrain, we go to input. That's where we're calling check build. Yeah, it's the BTE's position. Good. So the highlighted block, in other words. So that's a vector 3. Right. What am I doing? Okay, so what I need first is to measure how far away that is from our player. So I need to do that minus this, our player's position. There we go. Minus position. Good. I don't think I've added, though, the player's height. Plus vector 3 naught, and then how high are we? Well, what would be really good is to say subject's height. It would be nice to have the subject in here. Anyway, let's just put, what was it? 1.86, 2.86, 3.8, 1.86. I have to go and look this up. This is very bad. Oh, it's in bump. Open our bump system, which we wrote a couple of videos ago. 1.86. Okay, there we go. Yeah, what I was talking about, I should make this into a global, sorry, a property of subject, really. Yeah. Shall I do that now? I guess. Right, so height equals subject dot height. Oh, I've just had an idea. Let's just try and write that. So now I'm back in main py. So I was just in the bump system, and we're keeping height here because that's referred to lower down in here, but we'll just say subject height. We'll just assign it to subject height, which doesn't exist yet. So we're going back into main to create that, and we can create it very easily. We can create it just down here. Let's do it just before frog, which we made last video. Subject.height equals 1.86. Save that. And then my idea was, in mesh terrain, we are passing in, so yeah, I might as well write in, we need the cameras forward. Do I have access to the camera? I do in update. Could I give it to input? Oh, there must be a better way. The better way maybe to give mesh terrain these things. Okay, let's try it this way. So in the initializer, let's the constructor, of mesh terrain, let's say subject, we'll have the subject, and we'll have the camera. Good. Okay. And then we can create its own, and I'll do that all before we give it its essential things. We'll then say this dot subject equals sub, and this dot camera equals cam. Okay, so then in update, which is not what we're working on, I'll just do a note for us. I'll call it a bug. It's not really a bug, but I'll say we don't need to pass in pos and cam anymore. There we go. I need to signal myself. What's a nice signal? Exclamation marks and stars. There we go. That's not too scary. Lovely. But I'll do one job at a time. Okay, so input key. Where were we? Yes. In check build, we can now pass in the cameras forward, because I can say this dot camera dot forward, and then position is going to be this dot subject dot position. Can I do some maths up here? Can I say plus vector 3 I mean, this should be calculated all at the start. Okay, let's call it sub pos plus height. Subject position plus height. And then if I go back to main, I'm going to create that now. So after we've given it its height, the subject their height, we can say subject your position plus height equals no, that needs to be recalculated, doesn't it? Because position is going to be different. Oh dear. Right, okay. Forget that. It looked horrible anyway, didn't it? It looked horrible. Okay. Let's just do the maths here. So subject position plus vector 3, 0. I could now put subject height, which I should do. Subject.height 0. Oh, this dot subject height. That is a crazy set of arguments now. Anyway, let's put them on separate lines so you can see what's going on. Put them down like that. You still can't fit them onto one line. No, that's not going to be allowed. Anyway, we get the idea. Well, if you can't fit it on anyway, let's line everything up. Okay, so we've got the cameras forward, and then we've got, essentially all I want to do is pre-calculate the subject position plus how high they are, so we don't have to do that in check build. So let's go back to the building system. Where were we? Right. So so now we don't have to do that. Maybe just doing that here would have been a lot easier, but I've got a feeling we've done the right thing. I think we've done the moral thing. Right. So this needs a better name. I call it so distance. Call it distance. Right. Distance between the block we're looking at, or the place where our mouse was hit, minus our position is a distance. Okay. So now what do we want to do? We want to, find the mouse in world equals, oh my goodness, I bet Ursina has got built-in method for this. Anyway, let's just do it our way. We'll do it from scratch. So mouse in world equals equals, what are we doing? So we've got the length, the distance, which is needed, because all we need to do is go from our position plus our forward. Where are we looking? The camera's forward, cam F. How long forward do we need to go? We need to go this distance. So the distance dot, so that's a vector pointing like a string attached from our player's eyes to the place we're looking at. And to get the length or the magnitude of a vector 3 object, we can just write length there like that. So that's the magnitude. So now we should be, so mouse in world is now a position, not at the center of the BTE, of the block that were highlighted, but the place where our mouse is looking within that cube. That's the crucial thing. So then we want to move it backwards a little. Or I wonder if I could, just do this in one step, because we just need to not go quite as far. Again, this is different to my prepared code, which I worked at length to get working. So times, so if I did times by 1, that would be the whole distance. But if I did multiply that by 0.9, that would be something like 10 centimeters out, something like that. That would be like 1 centimeter out, and that would be 1 millimeter out. But if we round that position, it should now be outside of. Oh, actually, that would only be the case if we were inside. Well, let's go back. let's go back that amount and just see what happens first of all. Okay, so what we're going to do is it's not going to work, and then I'll just start copying my prepare code. Okay, what should we do? We should, well, instead of saying these guys, saying X is that, Y is that, Z is something else, mouse in world, that's where we want the BTE, the build site, to be returned. So X equals mouse in world dot X and so on. And we want to round this to the nearest whole number. We don't want to floor it. So let's just copy these X, Y, and Z. Okay. Well, we've got something we can go and test now. This is 100% not going to work. I don't, I'm not anticipating it'll crash anything, but there you go. That's crashed. Oh yeah, we need to, when we first initialize, when we first create our terrain object, we've now got to add in the subject and the camera. So terrain equals mesh terrain. We need to add the subject and the camera. Camera. There we go. Do I just take the, I can't remember if I gave the whole camera or the camera 4, I don't know. Right. Excuse me. Okay, we're not crashing this time. Our BTE is still working. So now when I press build, I can't build there. So something's happening, something different. Whoa, I was looking on top of the build site and that's working. But it's not building out the side as we would have hoped. But we can do what we did before, and we did build at a diagonal. Oh, look, it's almost working. Well, it's not almost working, but it's something is happening. Something is happening. So basically, or essentially, not the bump system. I want to be in the building system. In fact, I'll bring that over here. This idea is something different. So what I'm doing again, I'm hitting where the mouse position is in the real world, and then I'm in the real world, in our simulated world, and then I'm bringing it back slightly because we're only going down that length by 90%. Is that 99%? I can't work out. 90% of the way. So let's just drop that by half. No, that definitely won't work. That definitely won't work. I could minus that, but I can't, because that would draw back half the distance. Like that, do you see? So I was looking at this guy, and I was standing over there, and then that's like half the distance away. Yeah. But I'm curious just to, how close do we need to, we can get like, well, if we're longer away, yeah, if we're further away, then things get worse and worse. Anyway, well, let's do things in 2 steps. So now, mouse in world minus equals, can I do that with a vector 3? We're about to find out. So that means equals itself minus this vector amount. So we want the same the same trajectory. So that's our cameras forward, but only, which is going to be a normalized vector. So it's going to be pointing in the direction that we're looking by 1 unit. So now I can multiply that in half to get halfway out of a block. And then it will be this number that we play around with. If we come back too far, then our cubes won't be sitting snugly next to the cube that we're highlighting, that we're aiming at. And if we go too close, then we'll still be inside the BTE. Excuse me. Something I did in my prepare code was, if we were indeed trying to build within the block that we're looking at, then just build on top of it. That seemed to work very well. Okay, very exciting. So I'm looking at this face, press the right mouse button. No, we're either inside of it or something else. Now we've just built on top of it. Oh, we did build that side. We can build on top. That's fine. But not building at the side very easily. Right. We'll try one thing and then I need to look at my prepare code really. Let's just try coming out a bit further. Did I save that? 37 minutes in. What else was I going to do? I did lots of things actually in the prepare code. Oh yeah, I've changed the Perlin noise, lots of things. But okay, so I'm trying to build on top of these blocks and that's working. The side, no, that built too high. Well, that was better. Oh, that was good. The building's slightly too high for some reason. I wonder if I can, right. I'm very impressed with how well this is actually working though. But if the Y just gets floored, will that just bring it down a peg? Unless we're not adjusting it anywhere else, are we? Might still be happening with mesh terrain. I didn't look through the whole thing. It's the BTE that I need to worry about. Because it feels like it's off by 0.5 in the Y direction, which is exactly what we were offsetting the BTE. So I'm just looking for any reference to BTE. I think that's the last, no, this might be the last function. Okay, so mesh terrain is clear. Maybe I missed something in the mining system, or to be honest with you, maybe the calculation I'm using, the very hacky throwing together the 3D vectors is just not quite mathematical enough. Right, so building system, save. Right, I've tried flooring that, so let's just test that. Yeah, we can test that. We can maybe increase or play around with that. Well, that's working very well so far. That didn't work. I clicked once and it didn't quite work. What about on top of it? not perfect. Wow. Yeah, there. If I'm there, it doesn't quite work. There, it does work. Wow, that's not bad, is it? Jump, jump. Okay. Oh, if I'm looking straight down. That wasn't good. Okay, so it's not as good as my prepare code. So, but the flooring, was the flooring working this time? Yeah, I think that was working essentially. So let's just try that. So I'm coming out now a full unit backwards along the trajectory we're looking at, for which we're looking at the block. Let's go over here. I always like this place for some reason. Right click, yeah. Right click, no. No. So that's coming too far, you see. We're getting those diagonals. So what about below us? No. Interestingly, it's not coming out of the ground unless it's a little way away. At some distances, though, this is really good, isn't it? Okay, we don't like that happening, though. Although, when you see blocks appearing like that at a diagonal, oh, I've also noticed, then I'm kind of thinking it would be nice just to be able to spray blocks out here at like a fixed distance away, which would be very easy. In fact, easier than what we're doing here, which is probably a mechanic we'll add in a future video. I'm almost at 45 minutes here, but I'm very close to kind of like a solution. So that's pretty good. Times. Well, let's go and have a look at my prepare code and just kind of compare what's going on. I think I put all of that in mesh terrain in my prepare code. Oh, that's not my prepare code. I don't think I did it in the building system. That's something else. I did it in mesh terrain in my prepared code. Find building site, that's what I called it. So here, the distance, the BTE position minus our position plus our player's height. So that's the same. So can I actually move that next to the building system so we can compare these vectors that I'm playing with. So yeah, first thing, the distance is the BT position minus our player's position plus the I height. So I've done is the building site minus our position. So that is our player's height because I passed that in. Then so the mouse position in the world, this is the equivalent, is our position, our player's position, plus the camera's forward times the length, yep, that distance length. And then we're, oh yeah, I do it in one step, minus the camera's forward time multiplied by 0.75, which is similar to what I was going to do, wasn't it? So minus camera's forward times 0.75. I think I just saved it. Question is, did I try 0.75? I think I did, didn't I? Try building there, try building on top, no, try building there, on top. What about down here? Well, it works very well on the sides, so one thing I could do, or could try, I have to do this slightly different, is, oh, but what if we're trying to build inside BTE? Well, we'll say if build site is the same as, is equivalent to vec3. We're creating a new vector 3 here. X, Y, and Z. Then y plus 1. Y plus equals 1. So we'll build above. Build 1 above current block main. That is now behaving really well. I didn't think that would work so quickly. Okay, that's better. So I wasn't looking at the top and it built on the top. Let's try there. But it was close. It was very close. Right, and we can delete these, and that's fine. And oh, I can go and now create a archway. I feel though, if I walk through this, the panda's going to walk through, and somehow that means that we're married. Whoops. Don't worry, I won't be able to build this. It's too complicated for me. Can I? Yeah, now I can do that. I can create like an instant ladder, or whatever you call them in Minecraft. Whoops. Whoops. I can do this. There we go. So I've got. Oh, my head bumped into that bit. Brilliant. Oh, and I got through. Lovely. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Right. Okay, so that's just under 50 minutes. We've done that. What I'll just show you from my prepared code. So I'm going to need my main prepared. There it is. So what I did was actually create a new entity, just like the BTE. Oh, I've also made the fog color white. I kind of like. Oh, and I've improved the Perlin, as I was saying, things like that. Anyway, I'll show you how to do this later on. But this is what I did. I've made an extra BTE entity thing, and it just gives you a visual idea of where the built cube is going to appear, which I think is kind of a neat idea. I've also made the BTE a little bit bigger. Right, but maybe we'll look at that in the next video. I should say thank you very much for watching, and we did it. We did it. Okay, yes, leave any questions in the comments and things like that, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.